If you think YouTube killed storytelling simply because its retention business model incentivizes clickbait and bombastic video editing, then I dare say, good sir / madame,
you don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I mean, sure, YouTube's contribution to the widespread cognitive rewiring of an entire generation of humans through short-term dopamine feedback loops is pretty wild. Look at how Logan Paul walked out of Oppenheimer because Subway Surfers wasn't playing in the bottom half of the screen.
I didn't know what they were trying. What are you doing? Everyone's just talking.
Quite an odd argument, given there are plenty of better reasons to be bored by Christopher Nolan's Magnus Oppenheimer. How about the uneven pacing, emotional shallowness, sex scenes so devoid of any chemistry that you can't help but feel bad for Nolan's wife?
And now I am become death. Destroyer of worlds.
What the hell?
Point is, retention tactics are only the tip of the iceberg. The real issue is how YouTube's assault on storytelling affects things outside of YouTube. Film, TV, video games, even broadcast news and journalism, they've all been contentified. You probably know that an Instagram following ups your chances of being cast in a Hollywood film, so it'd be tempting to say, well, this is just an issue with social media and content as a whole. Except that social media and content dance to the tune of YouTube. The good news is we can fight fire with fire. We can save storytelling from YouTube by using YouTube to improve storytelling. So how do we do that? Let's focus on the immediate problem with YouTube: retention. It's the current all online videographers must swim against, including me. So, give us a like, whatever, for the algorithm.
For reference, this is how hairy my butt is right now.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
To the untrained eye, retention and dramatic conflict are the same thing. Both have something to do with you continuing to watch what's happening on screen, right? Tomato, tomato.
Not quite.
YouTube leans toward variety, typically an abundance of sensory stimuli. The more stuff going on, the better. There'll always be outliers, of course, but by and large, everyone knows that on YouTube, you need a cut here, some music there, a quick insert of that viral clip where a bull barges into a Chinese restaurant. Drama tilts towards leanness, right? The logical outcome of a single idea played out to its surprising yet inevitable conclusion. The more stuff going on in a story, the worse it is. I don't mean that stories can't be long and complex with lots of characters and elements, but things aren't chucked in willy-nilly, right? Because the moment we sense that something isn't related to the premise, we start to lose interest. And if we figure out creators are tricking us to stay, we become resentful. A time-wasting B story, a filler episode, and contrived plot points. Your mileage may vary, but everyone has a line to draw in the sand somewhere. But for content, there is no trope too hacky to keep you watching. But Story Jack, I imagine you saying from behind your screen, it's only content which is predominantly made by amateurs, not professionals who have the resources or the profits of a major production studio or publishing house, so what's the big deal? Well, that argument doesn't wash with me. More people are consuming content than film and TV or even books and video games. So why do we justify low standards for our main source of entertainment? Maybe I am being harsh, okay? If the big pros occasionally wheel out a trope to secure an audience or TV rating, what's the problem with some first-time filmmaker using the same playbook to keep you watching his video essay about how you can fix the Super Mario Bros. Movie? Is content not a different beast? Am I not using the same techniques? Are you not entertained? Dramatic conflict is born out of a character's want, right? You've done a creative writing course, you know what I mean. Your interest to continue watching is born out of an investment in the character because your adaptive mechanism has been engaged, right? But retention is all about the mystery box. You want to know what's inside because a baseline of curiosity present in all animals above a certain level of self-consciousness has been evoked. It hasn't hinted at some greater universal truth or shared human experience. It hasn't engaged your adaptive mechanism. Finding out which of Mr. Beast's underage contestants will escape the island first may satisfy your curiosity, but it isn't going to give you a cathartic release. Instead, the return on your investment for sticking through the runtime of a YouTube video is the thrill of scratching an itch.
Yeah, no shit.
I hear you say. Of course, YouTube will end up favoring curiosity-driven content over storytelling because all the algorithm cares about is whether people are watching, and exploiting curiosity is way easier than coming up with a story. I don't want catharsis, I just want something to distract me while I'm taking a dump at work. I have to be honest, it's a good point, and well made. All entertainment industries are filled with tentpole products designed to be consumed because you just want to, quote, turn off your brain. But it's a false dichotomy. I'm not saying the alternative to a Mojo video list about the top 10 biggest anime titties has to be some 1960s Czechoslovakian experimental satire about a couple of lesbians stomping on food. Like, hell, I don't have anything against McDonald's. I'm not knocking an algorithm for just doing what it's programmed to do. But if you think the opposite of preparing a family meal is a Big Mac, then, buddy, you need to learn to cook. What I'm knocking is the consequences. Even when content creators try to infuse their videos with more storytelling techniques, they're punished by the algorithm instead of rewarded by it. Catharsis would enrich content, but YouTube encumbers creators so much that achieving it is borderline impossible, even if it wasn't risky for business.
For example,
Characters become one-dimensional because the hills and valleys needed to build a character arc risk losing retention, right? Because moments of reflection, introspection, or even just scenes for the action to rest are opportunities to click to something else. Whereas in other media, they become part of the ride.
goddamn right.
And arcs wouldn't work on a YouTube personality because having a character change is unstable for branding. So YouTubers are locked into their personas and eventually become parodies of themselves. With these characters, obstacles can't be meaningful, hence why YouTubers wheel out false stakes to give the illusion of escalation. False stakes is when arbitrary conflict is airdropped in to compensate for a lack of organic conflict. Like when YouTubers doing some challenge video about eating the world's hottest chili pepper or whatever will suddenly have a moment where bees start chasing them, or the room floods, or it turns out that one of the chilies was actually filled with yummy shit. That's not dramatic conflict, that's just stuff happening. But to be fair, what else can one do on YouTube? If the website disincentivizes you from having a third act, what's the point in a second one? You can forget about suspense too. That won't work because a drop in pace or visual stimulus risks losing viewers. And there's no point in having a twist or revelation because not only will some other Burke screen grab it for a tweet on their parasitic content farm, but YouTube's retention model incentivizes creators to front load their thumbnails and titles and videos with the twists. Imagine I film a vlog that has a legit sixth sense rug pull at the end. The exact type of thing we savor in a good story. If I don't put that reveal front and center on my video, some reaction channel will. I'm not saying that no creator should be aware of market forces. Film posters, album art, and book covers have their genres and tropes, but unlike YouTube thumbnails, they can exist somewhat as a standalone piece of art. Your dorm room can have a Star Wars poster, and your bookshelf can be color coordinated, but if you print out and stick up a YouTube thumbnail, then you'll be spending the night in the loony bin, and for good reason. But alright. I can hear the comment section now. YouTube isn't film and TV, that's why we like it. Plus, all content is like that, blame smartphones, blah 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 blah. You're pushing an open door with me if you say technology as a whole has geared us for this. Our attention spans have become so short that streaming behemoths like Netflix and Disney design shows with an awareness that they're not competing with another show, but with another screen. Stories are now designed to be background noise, even in circumstances where an audience has decided to make them front and center. Shows are filled with expositional dialogue and jazzy montages so that a viewer isn't lost just because they scrolled on their phone for a few minutes.
What compelled you to break into the home of a decorated detective?
When you say decorated, do you mean suspended without pay?
Total loser!
I'm no different. I'm not exactly chomping at the bit to read War and Peace by candlelight, or a show that gets good after season 3. I'm like you. I'll swipe off a TikTok in resentment if it's taking too long to get to the damn point. I'm at the stage where I need to purposefully lock my phone in another room when I'm watching a film. Before, I used to have it on hand. That way, the moment I was bored enough to reach for it, I knew conclusively that the film I was watching just wasn't cutting it before I was even self-aware of it. I'm as guilty as you. And we can't be too hard on ourselves when entertainment outside of YouTube is playing the same game. Studios add scenes and greenlight projects that can be repurposed as content. I never saw Wednesday on Netflix. I didn't need to. Aside from it being just another dreary IP cash-in, I'd already heard about the best part when someone at a party remarked how they too hadn't seen Wednesday yet, but, quote, they'd
Already seen the dance.
I have no idea what dance they mean, but I know that it would be available as a GIF in a WhatsApp chat. Yeah, and that's right, Yanks, we use WhatsApp over here. I don't know why you guys don't. It's much better than iMessage. The contentification of entertainment proves how YouTube's influence has pushed storytelling aside, because now industries all about stories treat it as even less of a necessity. This really hit home for me when I watched Spider-Man No Way Home in the cinema. That's right, the cinema. I'm not into superhero stuff, but for my sins, Tobey Maguire was my Spider-Man.
I'm going to die!
So once it was confirmed that they'd be in the movie, I purchased a ticket. Big mistake. Never mind that the theatrical release didn't have a scene between Maguire and Dafoe, I'd unwittingly bought a ticket during a school break. The theatre was packed with teenagers anticipating Maguire's reveal, but not out of nostalgia bait like me, but so they could capture the moment on their phone. To them, they didn't come to enjoy a story, they came to star in a video. When Tobey Maguire did finally appear, one of the teenagers got up and did a backflip. It was impressive, don't get me wrong, but these kids weren't even alive when Sam Raimi made the mistake of casting Topher Grace as Venom. But they knew that this thing will be big on the internet. It's what all my friends will be talking about. It's content. I have no idea if Deadpool and Wolverine is a good movie, but I'm pretty sure the contentification of nostalgia-baiting cameos and meta-commentary has something to do with its stellar box office success. I mean, that's precisely why studios leaned into it. Every stage of creation is tainted with the hopes of going viral. For goodness sake, trailers have trailers now.
Oh my god, how do they make this more and more epic every time?
It's just reaction content. That's all it is. The biggest production company is doing reaction content, like that game show about whether or not something is cake.
And this is a cake.
What? This show is insane!
And what about that awful show, was it The Masked Singer? Like, aside from being the worst idea of all time, it's nothing other than the mystery box, because the entire point is to see how the celebrity judges will react. Or like in The Voice, when they press a button and spin round and do the soy jack face that they've been rehearsing all week.
Oh my god, how do they make this more and more epic every time?
I never thought I'd miss the days of a talent show where contestants spun some tragic backstory in between performances. Bring back childhood cancer, then I'll watch your karaoke show, and you can print that on a t-shirt. We truly are in the worst era of entertainment ever. But surely I'm not the only one who's noticed the incredible irony in all this. This website is still the biggest name in the content game, which is precisely why it's in the best position to reward storytelling. Here's a hot take. YouTube should be filled with movies. Not just from studios and production companies, and really it's only a matter of time until they strike a profit-sharing deal with Google, but amateur films and home movies. For all the bad YouTube has done to stories, it has done some great things for storytellers. It's removed the gatekeepers between author and audience. It's lowered the pressure for high production values and created a business structure where artists can make a living. You might not be in the 1% of content creators making bank, but you probably have a higher chance of making ends meet than a musician streaming on Spotify. Add to that the accessibility of camera and sound equipment like smartphones, lapel mics, drones, free editing software and green screen, and it's never been easier to be a visual storyteller. Except the only people uploading their features are the diehards like Joel Haver. But the fact he's been able to cut out a sustainable fan base should give you all the confidence you need that storytelling can work on YouTube. If wannabe YouTubers are already using poor storytelling techniques to edge their clickbait over the noise of other uploads, why shouldn't it be the case that channels go all in on drama having greater success? Look at Outdoor Boys. It's currently one of the biggest channels on the site, raking in millions of views per video on the regular. Sure, it plays the YouTube game with some flash forwards at the start, but the rest of the videos are pretty lengthy. Granted, survivalist material does have an inherent 3-act structure, but notice how this dude is leapfrogging over the scores of Mr. Beast clones without the bells and whistles of retention bait. Hell, people are doing it without even trying. There's a guy who uploads virtually uncut 45-minute videos of himself unclogging drains.
Oh, we got a bunch to move.
The guy has a dedicated following without any contrivance, and why not? His videos have an inherent 3-act structure, right? Find a problem, overcome the problem, solution. His stakes are real too. Flooding can cause problems on the road, so there's even a whiff of death about it, and he can't trust the local government to take care of it because despite chasing them to clear up this mess, they do nothing. So he's like the Batman of municipal plumbing. He and Outdoor Boys both have a clear want, but neither do the contrived YouTuber thing of playing up their personalities.
I don't mind giving it to the raccoons, but I'm not leaving the plate unattended. I don't want to be attracting the bear.
Authenticity has slowly been becoming the new vibe on YouTube, so this could be the groundwork we need to change the system. But Story Jerk, I hear you say, I agree with the message, but you're not being realistic. Utopia ain't coming, bro. I understand the doubt. Short form took off because we figured out a way to make 10-second videos work. By having videos be 10 seconds long, we can watch more videos that are also 10 seconds long. More videos means more time on the platform. More time on the platform means more money for the app. But there's a flaw. What's the point in not wanting to risk wasting 2 hours watching some amateur's first feature-length movie uploaded to YouTube, but will casually waste 2 hours trying to find the perfect TikTok to scratch that itch every day? I bet if some economists crunch the numbers, they'd be able to prove that people would rather waste hours passively than waste time actively. Meaning that they'd rather algorithms serve them up stuff that is fine than take an active role in finding something that is great. David Mamet is a Hollywood screenwriter and Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright. He makes the point that an amateur theatre company won't get anywhere if they don't charge an audience at least $1. The reason is having the audience earn the right to judge, you as the creator have an obligation to impress. You have more chance of learning. But by being free and doing everything it can to keep you watching, YouTube encourages viewers to be reactive, not active. That's probably why we accept low standards of quality and content, because we don't pay up front. We're like a hungry person at a buffet, convinced that having the opportunity to waste time choosing between scores of subpar options will leave us fuller and more fulfilled than taking a chance at a restaurant that isn't a recognizable chain. But maybe that's not you. Maybe you grew up with YouTube, so you are more willing to plumb the depths and support those niche content creators who take their videos as seriously as any other artist.
If we do see the bear, I'll just scare him away.
Or maybe you're more tech savvy than the other boomers, so you want to capitalize on the tools offered by the world's biggest video library. But by and large, the normies, they don't get the power of this site. They legit think it's just this sushi bar conveyor belt of cat videos and viral pratfalls, unaware that the videos they see on YouTube are linked directly to the things they search for. If someone told you libraries only have bad books, it means they haven't figured out that they just have bad taste. The algorithm is not interested in showing you things that you might not like. Risk is dangerous under a retention model. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't have the equivalent of Google's homepage's I'm Feeling Lucky tab, which is weird considering both are owned and run by the same benevolent overlords. A common argument for physical bookstores and video rental places over the likes of Amazon and Netflix is that in brick and mortar establishments, you can discover things by accident. Maybe the thing you came for isn't in stock, so you decide to dedicate yourself to something else to justify your visit. That's not possible on YouTube, at least not yet. As nice as it would be for the top square of the related videos list to be a completely random video for the sake of challenging your tastes, this machine is way too large to risk you clicking away. But the algorithm does work for us. In the same way you can't complain about the traffic because you are the traffic, you can't complain about shallow clickbait if that's what you encourage. I love YouTube, okay? I love content. I love how there's something for everyone, and I love that we do have an endless source to distract us from the bane of existence. I just wish that the most powerful and available tool for human connection was tweaked so that stories and catharsis were more valuable than retention and trends. Maybe then content would leave us feeling content. Maybe then content would leave us, Maybe then content would leave us feeling content.